welcome everyone. We are first going to hear from George Clarnan, who is the Director of Product Management at CIMCON. He's got 20 years of experience in product management, Internet of Things, and engineering. Prior to joining CIMCON, he spent 2 years at Verizon as the Product Development Manager for the IoT Architecture and Strategy Group. And there he was responsible for leading a team of engineers and other people in the development of enterprise verticals, including smart cities, agriculture, technology, and energy. So with that, I will turn it over to George.
Good morning, everyone. CIMCON has been around, has been in the lighting control business for 7 or 8 years now. And to date, we have 800,000 lighting control nodes under contract. About half of those 400,000, 450,000 have been deployed in the field. And next year, we'll probably add a few more 100,000 to this slide deck once we get confirmed on some deals that are coming through right now. We're deployed in 150 cities, municipalities, towns, communities around the globe in over 24 countries. So we've a pretty broad footprint. And we've spent a lot of time working on and innovating in this space. We have 3 primary product lines. Our focus is on the smart lighting controllers, intelligent lighting controllers that we have deployed comprehensively. And in the last 18 months, we have been moving into based on feedback from customers, more into the smart city space, expanding on the smart lighting capabilities. And also, as we've spoken to customers, we've added the managed services portfolio, which helps take some of the load off of lighting and public works departments by managing the light fixtures or the lighting control and management of that, working and interfacing with work order management systems so that things are repaired or maintained as quickly as possible, but also scheduling and dimming set up so that they can meet community needs as well. We have several firsts in this area. Down through the years, we've been first to introduce GPS into externally mounted lighting controls. We've gone to 0.5% metering accuracy so that it's whatever power is consumed is accurate in the results provided in our management system. We have been first to implement the Google Maps mapping interface so that you get to actually see the light controls on your over your town, over your city, rather than looking at a long list and trying to map that long coordinates to a location in your head. It just doesn't work that way, so it's nice to have a visual interface to that. So we believe and we're proud in our innovation here. We also hold several patents in the space, and we continue to move the industry forward. We're a local company based out of Bedford in Massachusetts, originally started in Westford, and we have over 62,000 lighting control nodes deployed in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, varying from 14 or 15,000 nodes in Worcester down to 300 nodes in Manchester by the Sea, so a very, very broad scale. Down in Rhode Island, we have 30,000 lights in Providence. So we do some very good scale, and we're as we work in partnership with MAPC, we're expanding our footprint here in Massachusetts. For many years, LEDs have been out in the market and people have been selling them. I remember going to a government and industry session or forum in Heinz Convention Center 4 or 5 years ago, and talking to some of the vendors there, and I asked, you've been doing this for a long time, selling LEDs. How come you haven't been selling lighting control with them as well? And the response back from them was that it was always a hard sell. You can sell or save 50% of your energy savings with LEDs. And you're saving a lot of money when you do that. But the benefit at that time was not as well seen for lighting controls themselves. And it's since turned out that more education, more study have yielded there are some great benefits having lighting control on top of the LED savings that come from the upgrades. With dimming, with adaptive dimming capabilities, you can add another 25 to 30% on your energy savings that you have already achieved by having schedules that meet the needs of your community, so that after dusk, you may have your lights operating at full power until 10, 11 p.m. when the roads get quieter or the pedestrian usage goes down, and then you might dim them a little further, and then at 2 a.m. you might dim them way down until you meet the minimum requirements for arterial roadway or roadway coverage, and you can save significant energy over time. But related to that as well, because of this mesh network or this lighting control network that you're establishing with your lighting controls, you also have better information on the operation and status of your lights. And that in turn can help reduce maintenance costs over time. So you can respond faster, minimize your truck rolls as you do so. And New York City pays the company $14 million a year just to go out and look at the streetlights and to report back. And that $14 million a year, if they can cut it out, will pay for the lighting upgrades across the city. And they know that the math works out that if I have lighting controls in place, I can change my truck rolls, which average 2.4 truck rolls at a time, down to 1. You know that you'll have information about what kind of fault is occurring. You make sure the trucks are stocked with the right equipment before they go out, and then the technician changes the light, and then you roll it. You'll get status updates from the lighting management system about the status once it comes back online. So you don't need to have multiple checks on the lighting control status, on the light status, as you do today. And then we have better customer safety or customer service and safety. Again, with the lighting control system, you can now do other things like a virtual blue light capability, or you can do park safety, because you can empower your citizens and residents to control the lights in an emergency if you desire to do so. Or you may have integrate your dispatch system, your 911 dispatch system, with the lighting control system, so that when a police officer is dispatched to an area, you can make sure and guarantee the lights are up at full brightness when they arrive, especially if you have dimming schedules in place. How we go about making streetlights smart involves adding more technology around the basic photocell concept. So one area is to add GPS. GPS helps to understand where that light control is right now. And for big utilities, it makes it much easier for them to plot out where their tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of nodes are. And when combined with sensors like tilt sensors, they know when the lights are down, when they have power outage notification and last gasp capability. All of these combine to being able to respond faster after an event like a hurricane. Florida Light and Power had a slide this year at Street and Area Lighting Conference where they showed the response time before and after hurricanes. And one hurricane, the first hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Irma, it took them 6 weeks or 4 weeks to respond with the first ticket to send the truck out to repair the lights, because they couldn't catalog where all the locations, didn't understand what their assets were, and which ones were down and which ones were actually functioning or not functioning. It took them 4 weeks to issue the first ticket. With lighting controls in place, they responded with the first ticket in 2 days, which is a significant way to respond and get lights back up after an emergency for your customers. And that's on a big scale for utilities, but on a smaller scale for our cities in Massachusetts, that would mean understanding if somebody and being notified when somebody drives into a pole and takes it out, and having the utility come out and put it in place, and then restoring the power. It can all be done, and you can be notified because of the same GPS and tilt sensors that are in place. With that as well, power metering. Power metering allows us to make sure that we're measuring all the power consumed. We understand how many hours and watt hours are being used. But we also get other information about the performance of the luminaire, about the LED light as well, because we've got metrology data that we're gathering, which allows us to do predictive analysis and understand when the lights will start failing, and not today or tomorrow, but in 6-10 years' time, as the performance degrades naturally over time. We can do adaptive dimming. The joy of having this wireless control network is that it's available for you to go and decide how you want to configure your network, how you want the lights to be set, but also to respond locally, especially if you include motion sensors. So if you have a park, or if you have a travel path, a well-traveled path by pedestrians, for example, you can have lights come on so there's always a bubble around the pedestrians walking along the pavement, so that it keeps them well lit and safe, but you can also dim down and not have light pollution or decrease safety for them. And with this, with the NEM 7-pin sockets, we have capabilities for sensor integration like motion sensors to make it easier to do these kind of activities. And of course, the photocell, the ubiquitous photocell that is there today, it gets cloudy at 4 p.m. It's going to rain, so you want to put the lights on. The lights will automatically come on and override whatever schedule they're on if you so wish to configure it. Within Lightingale is our lighting management system. We make it easy to see where your lights are, what the status of those lights are, and then take individual action. And if one of the lights was off or in a faulty state, it would be red, and you would see it pretty clearly. It would just stand and pop out to you, and from there you can go and interact with it and open a ticket if one hadn't already been open automatically. You can set it up so that you can get email and text alerts so that you're notified, and your work staff are on the job to make sure it's in the ticketing system. We provide API integration, so it integrates with other back-end systems. We're frequently asked to integrate it with enterprise-level systems, Cisco Kinetics for cities, or Esri's ArcGIS, so that the information can go to another place where data can be analyzed and interacted with in the city as well, across departments. Smart lighting, we believe, is the pathway to a smart city. And we start with smart lighting, and it kind of fans out from there. If we look to the left of smart lighting, we see things that are on and around the pole or on the pole, like electric metering and EV charging, small cells, and these are for those who own their poles. And it's an important caveat for those that own their poles. This is potentially an important revenue generator. If you've got spotty cell service in your town, being able to offer this real estate to the 3 or 4 major carriers, or to their infrastructure providers like American Tower and Crown Castle, you can generate revenue. And cities like San Jose are charging $2,500 a year for this. Other cities are charging $2,000 a month, depending on how well and need with the utility or the telecom provider to actually improve service there. I think there is a federal push by the FCC to standardize on set rates, but this is potentially space that's not being utilized today, where you can extract this rent and improve offering the service to customers on the pole in that infrastructure today. If we go to the other side, if we go to the right, we start seeing sensory applications that affect the daily lives or can impact the daily lives of residents in your town or city. Some of the more engaging ones that we've worked on have been around the air quality and people counting and vehicle counting, understanding how pedestrian movements and vehicle movements affect air quality, understanding how the traffic flows may impact how people interact with the city. Do people come downtown and go shopping on Main Street only to get stuck in traffic and not wanting to stay and not wanting to buy? Or do we see for example, after a rejuvenation of a shopping district, do we see an uptick? And do we, can cities use that as a justification for further investment in other areas? That has been a positive rejuvenation and redevelopment in the area. And we have the actual numbers to prove that there are more people downtown spending more time in the area. And that in turn can be used to encourage in cooperation, for example, with the Chamber of Commerce to make pitches to businesses to go open up in available real estate. And some are, we're doing a pilot right now in Florida, and that is one of the reasons why they're investing into the smart cities technology. They want to be able to make the case to companies to come in and set up and see the benefits of being on their main shopping street. And to enable this, we've developed our Near Sky 360, which is a data hub, a data platform. It utilizes the standardized NEMA 7-pin socket that all the streetlight controllers plug into. It sits there and it resides on top between the light control and the light itself, drawing power from the light. There is a metering chip on board, so you know exactly how much power is being consumed. It has communication through the light control to the lighting control network, so it doesn't need to have an expensive cellular plan associated with it. You don't need to run fiber to it. It provides power over Ethernet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB type inputs, general purpose I/O, so that it is a flexible place, a flexible hub where you can connect other sensors into it and gather information. So our focus right now has been on the likes of cameras for security, but also for video analytics. The video as a sensor, audio detection, temperature, air quality, all of these that are coming to the fore as we discuss with customers. And the generic nature, the general purpose nature makes this a good starting point for customers to expand and experiment with smart cities in a very targeted place. About a year ago or 8 months ago, I was in Kansas City in Missouri talking to the streetlight manager, and he was looking at this and he said, that's what our police department needs. You know, right now today they have fixed cameras that are positioned across the city, and they don't have the capital budget to add more fixed cameras, but they have the budget to buy some Near Sky 360s and some cameras and make them mobile. They might put it in a place for a month or 2 months and then move it a little later. And it's not an issue for them to send out a truck to move it. They just don't have the infrastructure to cover the whole city. And this mobility adds a level of flexibility to their deployment capabilities. And so it was a very, very strong interest with them. And so we're working right now. We've got several pilots underway. We're rolling out City of Schenectady, Coral Gables in Florida, Cape Coral in Florida. We've also ran a very successful pilot in Leon in Mexico. It's the 5th largest city in Mexico. And then we're working with the city of Opelika in Alabama, which has been a leading innovator in smart cities. Where we're trying to do a smart neighborhood with lighting control, radar for vehicle speed and volume detection and counting, gunshot detection, but on a localized area basis, so that they can be aware of and get information on events that are happening. In this particular neighborhood, they have at least one gunshot a week, and they fear they may have more, but they have no evidence because people don't call it in. And so what they want is a reasonable solution, a reasonable cost solution that would let them know if there are more or less. And with that knowledge, they can then go and experiment. And one of the first things they want to do when we deploy this is what happens if we change the lighting in the parking lots in this area? Will it have an impact on the number of gunshots detected? Will it have an impact on the feeling of safety if they do that? You know, what happens if we send increase the number of patrol cars that are there at the time? You know, if we go an hour earlier than our current patrol, will it have an impact? So they want to be very, very methodical about how they go about doing this, but they need to have the smart city infrastructure enabled by the Near Sky 360 to actually get there. And for them, that is the critical piece, is how do they provide this, have it such that it's a general purpose, that they know the same equipment will support audio and gunshot detection as it will support the radar that they have on the roadways, and ensure they can get this richness of data that they need to make decisions. So of course, it's not all about just capturing this data at the edge and processing at the edge. We need to go and visualize it. So as well as integrating with third-party systems like Esri's ArcGIS or Cisco Kinetic, we also have our own visualization capability to help correlate across the data sets, and it makes it easy for customers to go and analyze that data if they don't want to bring it into Excel and spend a lot of time. And so just to wrap up, CIMCON is developing and building out the smart city platform around our Near Sky. We are one of the leading companies in the world to provide streetlight controllers to help save on energy and maintenance costs, and where we offer to help on the workload side for strapped DPWs and lighting departments with our managed services. Thank you very much.